Shalom, Most High Christ bless. I'm Brother Jacob, and to my left,
Brother Jeremiah.
And we're entering into Maccabean week. So, biblical histories and sources, we're kicking this off. We're going to be talking about the Maccabees, the Feast of Dedication, and all those things. You know, as much as stuff that's in there that we can talk about through this week. So we're kicking it off actually before the feast even start. But as usual, we're going to start out with Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 11 and 17.
All right. Book of Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 11. And go, get thee to them of the captivity, unto the children of thy people, and speak unto them, and tell them, thus saith the Lord God, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear.
Whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. Them of the captivity. This is, so what we're talking about today with in the Maccabees is the Greeks. That's one of the captivities. They were selling us. They had us captive. Now verse 17.
Verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me.
Give them warning from me. So that's our job. We know, we understand. So now we got to go to our people and tell them thus saith the Lord so that they can repent. So this particular topic is called, shall a man rob God? Now, if you go to church, you've heard that many times. Even though giving tithes, you ain't supposed to be giving tithes. You don't see nobody giving tithes in the New Testament. Christ said give alms in Matthew chapter 6. But yet, all the law is done away except for tithing. And you have to do it every week, but in the scriptures, it was every 3 years. So, we're doing shall a man rob God? Let's go to Malachi 3 and 8. Go ahead.
Now, Book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 8. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings.
In tithes and offerings. So this was talking about the priesthood and how they were sacrificing animals that had blemishes, and you ain't supposed to do that because those animals represent Christ. It's supposed to be without spot in the law. That's what say without spot. So this ain't, they go to this in Christianity, but we're going to give you an example in the book of Maccabees about someone actually trying to rob God. Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 3. We got right much reading to do, so we're going to get to it. I'm going to pull a few precepts, and I'm going to bring up one person. There's some good examples in this chapter right here. 2 Maccabees chapter 3, start at verse 1.
Book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 3 and verse 1. Now, when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well.
Damn, you see that? The laws were kept very well, and there was peace in the city. Go ahead.
Because of the godliness of Onias, the high priest, and his hatred of wickedness.
So Onias hated wickedness. He loved righteousness. So Jerusalem was profiting because he was a righteous leader. Go ahead.
Verse 2. It came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnify the temple with their best gifts.
Go ahead.
Insomuch that Seleucus, king of Asia, of his own revenues, bear all the costs belonging to the service of the sacrifices.
Right. So King Seleucus was giving money, animals, or whatever for the sacrifices. That show you it was righteousness going on. They're paying tribute, basically. Go ahead.
But one Simon of the tribe of Benjamin.
So here comes a wicked Israelite, a Benjamite, which don't matter whether he's a Benjamite or what tribe he's from. He was wicked. Go ahead.
Who was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about disorder in the city.
Right, so he had a falling out. So evidently, well, it's going to say it anyway. So this brother was wicked. Onias was all about righteousness, and we were prospering as a people. But they had a falling out. So this is a good example right here of how our people behave. We all should be on one accord, whether you like something or not. It should be in accordance with God's law. So we got these scriptures. We supposed to work with these to solve our problems. If you go outside of that, then what you doing? What really are you doing? Go ahead.
Verse 5. And when he could not overcome Onias, he gat him to Apollonius, the son of Therseus, who then was governor of Seleucia and Finis.
So, because he had a falling out with Onias, he couldn't overcome Onias, so now he's gone to the heathen. Just like our people do today. Who you think the first ones to run to the white man? Oh, it's black Hebrew Israelites. Then you got Vocab Malone, Sam Shamoon, and all these other heathens coming at us because they don't want us to prosper. They don't want the truth about the Bible to go out. So our people going to them, that's wicked. We're the people. We're the people of the Bible. So they're in Jerusalem. He couldn't overcome Onias, so he's going to go to the enemy against his own people. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money.
Well, infinite sums of money. Come on, man. So he went and told him. So this governor of Syria, he was sending money or sacrifice or whatever it was that he was sending. He goes and tells him they got a whole lot of money. So they don't need what you giving them. You making them rich or whatever. Who knows what he said to him? But go ahead.
So that the multitude of their riches did not pertain to the account of the sacrifices was innumerable.
Innumerable. See, so he's telling them that they ain't need that. He just adding to whatever they got. Just adding to it. Go ahead.
And that it was possible to bring all into the king's hand.
Right, so he was telling them, oh, you can go get this money. Go get that money. That's what he's telling them. Come on, man, that's wicked. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Now when Apollonius came to the king and had showed him the money whereof he was told, the king chose out Heliodorus, his treasurer, and sent him with a commandment to bring him the foresaid money.
Right, so now, we have the Christians who say the Apocrypha is unauthoritative. They're coming with all these reasons for us not to use the Apocrypha, but guess what? Heliodorus was a real man. All these people, they were real people. So on Wiki, they have a Heliodorus minister. He was a legate of Seleucus Philopator, 187 BC to 175 BC. It's funny how all these people existed, all these events existed. It says some historical sources say that he assassinated Seleucus and seized the throne for himself before Antiochus Epiphanes, the brother of the late king, with the help of the Pergamon monarch. I'm going to put this up so everybody can see it. But yeah, these things actually happen. These stories are true. Esau likes to document everything, especially after the time of the Greeks. So, read on.
Verse 8. So forthwith Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the cities of Seleucia and Finis, but indeed to fulfill the king's purpose.
Right, go to Jerusalem and take all the money. That's what he sent him to do. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And when he was come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received of the high priest of the city,
Onias,
He told him what intelligence was given of the money, and declared wherefore he came, and asked if these things were so indeed.
Right. So he coming to see, gonna come to prove it. Go ahead.
Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children.
Oh, so in all actuality, they had some money that was saved for people in need. You supposed to take care of the widow. Man, I didn't go to Deuteronomy 14. So this brother, what he doing, what he did, man, that's wicked. Give me verse Deuteronomy 14. Give me 20, start at 26.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verse 26. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household, and the Levite that is within thy gates. Thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thine increase the same year, and shalt lay it up within thy gates.
Right, every 3 years, but it's this for the Levite. So, go ahead.
Verse 29, and the Levite, because he have no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger,
Someone from another tribe, go ahead.
and the fatherless,
Uh-huh.
and the widow,
Uh-huh.
which are within thy gates, shall come, and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hand which thou doest.
So this is a righteous law. All God's laws is righteous. This is righteous. This brother is going against this. He know Onias. He know what he about. Now, before we go back there, let's go to Exodus 22. People be playing with fire, man. Lord ain't no joke. Exodus 22, I think I want either 22 or 23. I want you to start right there. Verse
22,
21.
21. All right. Book of Exodus, chapter 22, verse 21.
If you have that money taken away, this is what you're doing to him. That's for sure. Go ahead.
Thou shalt neither vex a stranger, nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Go ahead.
Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child.
Uh-huh.
If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry.
Go ahead.
And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless.
Right. So if you afflict the fatherless, the widow, the stranger, then the Lord's going to bring that right back around on you, and then your family going to be without you. So back to 2 Maccabees 3. Okay.
11. Book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 3, and verse 11. And that the sum of it belonged to Hyrcanus, thank you, son of Tobias, a man of great dignity, and not as that wicked Simon had misinformed.
See? So I said it was wicked, but hey, they saying it too. The brother that wrote this. We're going to get into that too one day. I might do that. Excuse me, sometime this week. Go ahead.
The sum whereof in all was 400 talents of silver and 200 of gold. And that it was altogether impossible that such wrong should be done unto them that had committed it, to the holiness of the place and to the majesty and inviolable sanctity of the temple, honored over all the world.
Right. So, I mean, because Onias was such a righteous brother, our people had honor, respect from the other nations. Like everything that's in the law is true. Like Deuteronomy, I believe it's Deuteronomy 4 or Deuteronomy 6, that the other nations supposed to look at us and say, what a wise and understanding people because of the laws. That's how they're supposed to be looking at us, but we're completely wicked. This is something I keep saying lately. We've been here for hundreds of years around Esau, and we act just like them. I think we carry it to another level, though. But go ahead.
Verse 13. But Heliodorus, because of the king's commandment given him, said that in any wise it must be brought into the king's treasury. So at the day which he appointed he entered into order this matter, wherefore there was no small agony throughout the whole city.
So they're in agony. You can imagine. So the fatherless, the widows, even like it's going to get to the high priest too. But for them to want to come and take the money that's put aside for our people and for our temple, that's a wicked thing. Watch what happened.
Verse 15. But the priests, prostrating themselves before the altar in their priest vestments, called unto heaven upon him that made a law concerning things given to be kept, that they should safely be preserved for such as had committed them to be kept.
Right. So they prostrated themselves. Basically what that means is they got down on their knees, on their face or whatever, and they were praying to the Most High to help them out in this situation. See, this is something we need to do as a people. We need to start, fasting and praying, or especially praying. All of us need to be praying. When you look at these examples, man, they praying to the Lord for repentance and help. That's even in Jonah when they did the fast. But go ahead.
Verse 16. Then whoso had looked the high priest in the face, it would have wounded his heart.
Damn.
For his countenance and the changing of his color declared the inward agony of his mind.
Damn, he was in agony in his mind. Like we go through little small things like, oh, I got to work on this high holy day.
Right.
And that's agonizing to us. That's grievous to us. Like, yo, I should be honoring the Lord on this day and being obedient, but you're in captivity and you got to work. Imagine this was a righteous man and they prospered because he hated wickedness. And to have something like this happen on his watch just really, really bothered him. He really wanted to please the Lord. His countenance changed. Go ahead.
Verse 17. For the man was so compassed with fear and horror of the body, that it was manifest to them that looked upon him, what sorrow he had now in his heart. Others ran flocking out of their houses to the general supplication, because the place was like to come into contempt. Right.
So the word going around of what's going to happen. So now everybody's like, this is really a bad thing. So we need to come together. We need to prostrate ourselves. We need to show the Lord, look, please come help us. We've been through so much. Like the Christians say, oh, God was silent for 400 years. Yet it was a bunch of this stuff was prophesied. How do you explain that? The Lord ain't silent. This is his word right here. We just got to obey it. But go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And the women, girt with sackcloth under their breasts, abounded in the streets, and the virgins that were kept in ran, some to the gates, and some to the walls, and others looked out of the windows.
Right. Everybody, you just can't imagine. So they know he's coming. He's coming with his train of people coming to take the money out of the treasury. Remember, shall a man rob God? Ain't talking about no tithing. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And all, holding their hands toward heaven, made supplication. Then it would have pitied a man to see the falling down of the multitude of all sorts, and the fear of the high priest, being in such an agony. They then called upon the Almighty Lord.
The Almighty Lord. Go ahead.
To keep the things committed of trust safe and sure for those that had committed them. Nevertheless, Heliodorus executed that which was decreed. Now, as he was there present himself with his guard about the treasury.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord of spirits and the Prince of all power caused a great apparition, so that all that presumed to come in with him were astonished at the power of God, and fainted and were sore afraid. So let's, before we go any further, we gotta bring out these two brothers. So this apparition, more than just an apparition. Let's go to Genesis first. Genesis 18. Genesis 18, 1 and 2. We're just touching on these two brothers because people have asked about this several times. Like, wait a minute, who are these two dudes? Genesis 18, 1 and 2. All right. Book of Genesis, chapter 18, and verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day.
So this is the Lord. It sure ain't the Father, and it ain't Christ in all his glory. But the Lord appeared to him. These Old Testament dudes, man, they got a lot to explain with this. This ain't the Father. You can't see him. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him.
Three. So it's the Lord and 2 other dudes. Go ahead.
And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground.
Go ahead.
And he said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant.
Right, now go to verse 22.
Verse 22.
Hold on, start at 20. Because we want to make the point, this is the Lord.
Right. Verse 20. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord.
Right. So the Lord stood there with Abraham and those two men, which you read about. Go to verse 33.
Verse 33. And the Lord went his way, as soon as he had left, communing with Abraham. And Abraham turned unto his place.
Right. So the Lord stayed there with Abraham. Now, I mean, he talks to him in chapter 19, but I just want verse 1 and 19.
Gotcha. Book of Genesis chapter 19, verse 1. And there came 2 angels.
So those 2 men, those were 2 angels. These 2 angels. Go ahead, finish that.
To Sodom at even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
Right, so those are the 2 angels. These 2 mighty angels that keep popping up with Christ. Now, Luke 24. And verse 1.
We'll be saying Luke chapter 24 and verse 1. Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came unto the sepulchre, bringing the spices which they had prepared, and certain others with them.
So this is when Christ had arisen at the end of the Sabbath. And when they come to see him, he's gone. Now jump down to verse 4.
Verse 4. And it came to pass, as they were much perplexed thereabout, behold, 2 men stood by them in shining garments.
In shining garments. Go ahead.
And as they were afraid, and bowed down their faces to the earth, they said unto them, Why seek ye the living among the dead?
So they bowed down to these angels. They show you they were mighty. There's got to be something mighty about them. Like, oh, they're meaty. Oh, these brothers in shining garments, and oh, let us bow down. Let's read verse 6, and then we're going to move on.
Verse 6. He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spake unto you when he was yet in Galilee.
Right, let's go to Acts 1. Same 2 brothers. Verse 9. Verse 9.
Book of Acts, chapter 1 and verse 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight.
Right, you can read the rest of that part of the story right there. You read that in Daniel chapter 7. Well, go ahead.
Verse 10. While they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel.
Right, these same 2 mighty brothers in white apparel with their shiny garments. You can read the next one. Go ahead and read the next one.
Verse 11. Which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
Yeah, he coming with chariots, but it's going to be a whole lot of chariots when he come back. And he not going to meet thee as a man. Now back to 2 Maccabees. Maccabees 3:25. Okay. 2 Maccabees 3:25.
Book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 25. For there appeared unto them an horse with a terrible rider upon him.
Right.
And adorned with a very fair covering. And he ran fiercely and smote at Heliodorus.
Oh, shall a man rob God? So this mighty one in the middle on the white horse smote Heliodorus. Go ahead.
With his 4 feet.
He kicked him.
And it seemed that he that sat upon the horse had complete harness of gold.
You know that's the Lord. You know that's Christ. Go ahead.
Verse 26. Moreover, 2 other young men appeared before him. Notable in strength. Excellent in beauty. Comely in apparel.
Their garments was I ain't gonna say. They was like that. Like y'all say today, drip. They had that drip on. Mighty. They rolling with the Lord mighty and dripping. Go ahead.
And comely in apparel, who stood by him on either side, and scourged him and continually gave him many sore stripes.
They laid it on him. They put it on him. They put the beats. Raphael said they put the beats on him. Most people say, yeah, they beat him down. I wonder if they asked him, should a man rob God? Go ahead.
Verse 27. Heliodorus fell suddenly into the ground and was compassed with great darkness.
He was about to die.
But they that were with him took him up and put him into a litter. Thus him that lately came with a great train and with all his guard into thee said, Treasury, they carried out, being unable to help himself with his weapons. And manifestly they acknowledged the power of God.
Right, they acknowledged the power of God. He came with his train of people and their weapons and everything. And the Lord and his 2, I can't even call them sidekicks. They too mighty to be called sidekicks. They showed up and they laid sword strokes on him. I mean, I can't imagine what them sword strokes look like for him to write it like that. Sword strokes. Go ahead.
Verse 29. For he by the hand of God was cast down and lay speechless without all hope of life.
He was about to die. He was about to die. They put it on him. I mean, they put the beats on him. Go ahead.
Verse 30. But they praised the Lord that had miraculously honored his own place.
That's right.
For the temple, which is little afore, was full of fear and trouble. When the Almighty Lord appeared, was filled with joy and gladness.
You know, this, when you serve the Lord in spirit and in truth, you being obedient, he said he going to protect you. He not going to, everything he says is not going to fail. He going to live up to his part. Why wouldn't he? He's the creator. Go ahead, verse 31.
Verse 31. Then straightways, certain of Heliodorus' friends prayed Onias,
meaning they asked him, go ahead,
that he would call upon the Most High to grant him his life, who lay ready to give up the ghost.
So, pay attention to this right here. So they're asking Onias to ask the Most High to save his life. Now, you got to think about this. So, the king, or the governor, I can't remember if he's the governor or the king, but he sends the entourage there to collect the money. So, he sent them. If they come back and say, oh, the Jews that killed them, what's going to happen? They're going to bring war. It's going to cause war to happen. So, go ahead.
Verse 32. So the high priest, suspecting lest the king should misconceive that some treachery had been done to Heliodorus by the Jews, offered a sacrifice for the health of the man.
Right, so he offered a sacrifice for the health of the man. So, let's go to Job 42. Now, any of you Christians, I need you to pay attention right here. Really need you to pay attention. Because you got, like my buddy Pastor Holloway, I have to keep putting him on silence. I just can't stand seeing his posts. But, I'm not doing the songs. But they say stuff like, oh yeah, the Gentiles, they got inheritance with Israel and all this stuff. You never see where the other nations can send a prayer to the Lord. Even Israel that's not righteous, he not hearing your prayers.
Right.
So Heliodorus is the high priest. He's sending up a prayer for the Lord to save them so it won't be no mischief, won't be no daggone war come. So watch this example. Job 42 and start at 7.
Book of Job, chapter 42 and verse 7. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy 2 friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath.
So because of what they were speaking. So you think about this, because look at how people come at us, the apologetics, the white man. Remember we was at the beach and the white guy was like, y'all them black Hebrew Israelites, ain't you? Yeah, you want to fight?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. We are here to teach our people. That's it. To teach them, whether they hear or whether they forbear. But like it's saying Exodus 11:7, the other nations ain't even supposed to move their tongue against us. But they done said something about the Lord. So watch the Lord's like, he angry about that. Go ahead, verse 8.
Verse 8. Therefore, take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job.
See, my servant Job, just like Israel is his servant today. Go ahead.
And offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept.
Oh, see, for him will I accept. For him. Go ahead.
Lest I deal with you after your folly.
Right. Lest he punish him however he see fit. So fortunate for them, they had Job.
Right.
Go ahead.
And that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job.
Right, like my servant Job. So they did according as he said. They gave those animals to Job, and he did the sacrifice for them. Now back to 2nd Maccabees.
All right.
These boys, the Lord ain't nothing to play with, boy. He ain't nothing nice.
Book of 2nd Maccabees, chapter 3 and verse 33. Now, as the high priest was making an atonement, the same young men and the same clothing appeared.
Them same 2 brothers again. Them same 2 mighty dudes. Go ahead.
Appeared and stood beside Heliodorus, saying, Give Onias the high priest great thanks, insomuch as for his sake the Lord have granted thee life.
Dang. They stood by him like, yeah. Fortunate for you, he's sending up this offering on your behalf. Otherwise, you would have gave up the ghost. You'd have been done. I mean, the Lord will do as he see fit. But
it's like they jumped him and it's like, now say you sorry.
Yeah, they beat him. They put the beats on him. And then they like, yeah, you better thank Onias for doing that on your behalf because you was about to be a afterthought. Shoot. Go ahead.
Verse 34. And seeing that thou hast been scourged from heaven, declare unto all men the mighty power of God.
That's a crazy thing right there. So, like a person can complain and be like, yeah, so-and-so did this to me, or somebody, they said this, or they did this. But, your punishment come from God. What can you say?
Apparently, thank you.
Yeah, you gotta humble yourself and be like the Lord said, take it cheerfully.
Right.
These weren't our people, but still. They had to get it. He got it proven to. He had to get it proven to him. Watch what he say, man. Remember in Judah 5, it was like, let my Lord pass by if they be keeping, if they don't, you know what I'm saying. If their God ain't angry with them, let us pass by. Go ahead.
And when they had spoken these words, they appeared no more.
Mm-hmm.
So Heliodorus, after he had offered sacrifice unto the Lord, and made great vows unto him that had saved his life, and saluted Onias, returned with his host to the king.
Right. So Heliodorus, he's returning back to the king. This is a crazy conversation right here. Go ahead.
Then testified he to all men the works of the great God, which he had seen with his eyes.
Yeah, saw with his eyes, and he felt it too.
That's right.
Like, he felt it. You know how they're saying, make me a believer? I don't want no parts of that, y'all. No. Go ahead.
Verse 37. And when the king asked Heliodorus who might be a fit man to be sent yet once again to Jerusalem.
What? So he asked him, who else can we, who is a good man that we can send to go ahead and go pick up that money? Like, are you kidding me?
Bro, on seconds.
Right. Go ahead.
He said, if thou hast any enemy or traitor.
If you don't like somebody, you want her to die, you want her to get the beat down, go ahead and send him. That's what he's saying. Go ahead.
Send him thither, and thou shalt receive him well scored, if he escape with his life. For in that place, no doubt, there is an especial power of God.
Yes, don't play with the Lord. Shall a man rob God, yo? No. When Israel keeping commandments, no. But we turn to wickedness. Just like it's written in the law, you won't keep my commandments, all these things going to happen. That's why Jerusalem got destroyed. They killed over 1 million of our people. We were there for Passover. Full of people. And they got slain with the sword, man. Got slain. No mercy. The ones they didn't kill, they carried some into captivity, and then they took some, the chief of some, the best of some, the good-looking ones like that, and paraded them around Rome and dragged them around on the back of horses, killing them. But somehow, Christianity, anybody can be accepted of God. See, in all nations, he accepts anybody. He's not a respecter of persons. Yeah, he's talking about Israel. Israel scattered in all the nations, undergoing tribulation. All right, last couple of verses, we're going to wrap it up.
Verse 39. For he that dwelleth in heaven hath his eye on that place.
That's right.
And defendeth it, and he beateth and destroyeth them that come to hurt it.
Yes, sir. I should have named this the Beats. Put the beat down. Go ahead.
Verse 40. And the things concerning Heliodorus and the keeping of the treasury fell out on this sword.
Right. So, I felt like this would be a good example for us to look at, for Maccabean week. We might do another one. We got a couple of days off from work, so we might do something else. We'll see. But that's going to do it for this. Shall a man rob God? Not when Israel is keeping commandments, that's for sure. That's right. So, Book of Acts chapter 5 and verse 29.
Book of Acts chapter 5 and verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men.
Right, we ought to obey God rather than men. You see how the Lord does when you obey him. He'll take care of you. Right. He'll give you the victory over your enemies. So let's you know, let's spread the word. Let's spread the word. Share the video. Anybody, and you know, if you can reach anybody, go ahead, just do it. Try it. Share stuff. Click like, whatever. Let this word get out. We got to prepare ourselves. We are that bride of Christ. We have to make ourselves ready so we can get out of captivity, go back to our land, and begin the process of living in righteousness. We've been around the so-called white man for hundreds of years. We have learned his ways and completely forgotten about our ways. This is our ways right here. This, like these laws, statutes, and commandments, that's the image of God. That's the image of Christ, and that's the image we supposed to be portraying. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to righteousness so we can get out of here and be rulers on earth like we were meant to be in the first place. So, I'm Brother Jacob.
Brother Jeremiah.
Brother Sirach.
And with that, y'all, we say Shalom.